All right, ready?
Yep.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another edition of the RoadRunner and Ryan from WagerFuel.com. All right, guys, today we're going to talk about the way that we normally classify different player types, the way that different players bet, different better profile types. So I'm going to let the Roadrunner classify those for us and talk about the different strategies that are normally in play with different betting styles. And then the other thing that we just want to touch on, and you'll hear this message come out a lot from Wager Fuel, is that of responsible gaming. So earlier, Roadrunner and I were discussing all the things that are now available to sports bettors out there. And I was talking about a recent news story that I saw where players were going to be able to watch live games and bet on them while they were taking place. And it just made me think about responsible gaming and the tendencies that we now have as a culture for this want and need for action and the immediate gratification of making and hopefully winning bets without thinking about the consequences of losing that money as opposed to the winning of said money. So we just want everyone to recognize that at Wager Fuel, what we're instructing is to be a hopefully profitable bettor and really investing in sports betting as opposed to this idea of gambling. So there's always a risk to lose. There's an opportunity to win. But what we want to do is help educate and give our members the best chance to win. So before we get into the different sports betting player types, Roadrunner, tell the folks about your philosophy on as a sports investor.
Well, thanks everybody for joining Ryan and I and listening in. So I categorize myself as an investor. I don't bet anything else. I've never bet anything else, and that includes horses, playing cards, slot machines, and things like that. I'm a total investor, and sports betting happens to be my source to invest. So what does that mean is I'm very strict. I follow money management skills that make sure that I bet within my means. I make sure I get the right number on the game to hopefully beat the closing line and have value in my selections. I don't play every Monday night game or every high profile game. I rarely play the Super Bowl, only when opportunity arises. So I'm more of the investment type, and there's quite a few of us out there that want to invest. On the other hand, there's the person who does this for entertainment purposes, and they do like playing, as Ryan explained, playing the play-by-play as the game goes on and putting $2 on a pool that you can win $8,000 and things like that. But just having entertainment, wanting to win, but knowing in the long run you probably won't be a winner, where I'm grinding every day and just trying to show profit overall. So that's the difference between the two betting styles.
Okay, so duly noted, and I think very important advice. So we're putting that out there just to let everyone hopefully be aware of what it is that we're doing here, as opposed to this idea of chance gambling. We want to help create the more educated bettor. So let's get into these different types of sports betting player types here, and I'm going to do them in the order that you have them laid out, Roadrunner. So let's go into the first one here, which is the creator. That sounds pretty cool. What's that all about?
Yeah, that's just the person who wants to start from the ground up, read different articles about the teams, understand how they play different styles. It's a scientific way of really creating who you're going to bet. Anything from statistics, just things like that. A pen and paper person is what I like to say, that sits down there, crunches numbers, develops programs that helps with statistics and things, and they come up and they create their play. And again, a lot of creators don't pay attention to any type of lines that they play. They might play at a certain time every single time, and sometimes they beat the closing line, other times they don't. But for the most part, they're betting on what they like and what they've done homework on, and that's their opinion on the game. So that's the creator type.
So Roadrunner, would this be similar to those that we would classify as a handicapper, or is this a little different?
Yeah, well, handicapping, that's exactly what you're doing, is you're handicapping a game. So you are a creator of that specific play. You didn't get it off follow somebody, or got it off some system or trend, which we'll talk about. You came up with the game for whatever reason, and this is your baby, and this is what you're going to bet at, regardless of what the line is. You're just going to bet it. So if you're going to be a creator, the very first thing you should do is get multiple books, as we always stress. Of course, bet within your means, get multiple books, and get the same, and try to get the best number when you go to bet your game. My advice is bet your game at the same time every time. That if you want to bet early in the week, that's what I suggest. If you're creating something and you think you can get it done early, bet the game always at the same time. That's strong advice.
All right, very good. Okay, next up we have the trend player.
The trend player, very common out there. A lot of the handicappers or scamdicappers, as we've talked about in other videos, are trend players. They give you the statistics that happened in the past that you love to hear and you want to play against. And I'll give you an example of a trend player. We'll take the Philadelphia Eagles at Kansas City. Kansas City is an 8-point favorite at home, and here you go with trends on that game. Kansas City is 6-1 in the last 7 games as a home favorite. Kansas City has beaten the NFC opponent 5 straight times straight up at home. Philadelphia is 2-8 in their last 10 road games as a underdog of 8 points or more. Philadelphia has not covered the last 4 games in the last 4 weeks. So right there, everything is pointing towards Kansas City, every trend. So then the handicapper, scandicapper goes out and he promotes this game because he found all these trends, but all going one way. But there's so many out there that you can't see every single trend. But he found the ones that he can market, that goes out there, and he's a trend player. And he says, Kansas City -8. And then, the game goes to 9, and then it goes back down to 8, and it goes to 7.5. And in the long run, trend players will never win.
Hey, Roadrunner, I heard a great trend the other day about spring training games in the MLB playing the run line on away dogs. So we'll have to write a little piece on that. I'll share it with you offline. But it's
unfortunately, the best thing to do is bet the trend when it starts, and then it goes 8-2, and you could gloat. Don't bet the trend after the fact. Those are what we call Monday night or Monday morning quarterbacks, I believe, and or I call them ESPN followers because they get what happened in the past. No, give me something fresh that, hey, this team's going to win the next 8 out of 10. That's what I want.
How did I know you'd say something like that, man?
Yeah, I mean, I used to see that all in all the different articles that were written in the old days, newsletters. These handicappers used to come up with a newsletter. The thing was printed Sunday night for all the games the following weekend, and they were given all their everything was based on trends, and everybody followed trends. I used to love watching trends and then let the line go from 6 to 9 and then bet the +9. I won a lot more than the guy betting the -6. I can tell you that much.
All right, good stuff. Okay, next type is the systems player. What is this guy like?
Well, the systems player develops something like going to bet every home underdog in the NBA. Going to bet the over in all the Sunday night games. Always bet the team at home that lost the week before, and just build systems and play that system and ride it out. But again, not a bad idea. Makes all the difference in the world what you play the game at, where it closes. Those are the two things you need to do is to be a systems player, trend player, or even creator. If you're beating the closing line and you're following some certain trend or system, or you're creating it, that's great. Keep doing it. But for the most part, it won't happen. And that's a great way of really finding out if somebody is sharp or if somebody can win over the long run. Whatever they give you their opinion at, look at the line and then look at the closing line. And if you're beating the closing line, you're on to something. If you're not, you better go somewhere else.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm seeing a pattern develop here, and it's interesting that you mentioned the closing line, because we're going to talk about that in a future segment. So you guys will need to stay tuned for that. But let's go into our next type of player, which is the player that follows the line moves.
Yes. Now they follow line moves and they don't get the actual line that the game moved from. They play the game, the line where the game has moved to. So what I mean by that is Kansas City's -7. It goes to 8. They're going to play -8. And then some other guy, they only have one site or one bookmaker, and he plays the game at 8.5. Again, you play the game at 7, you play the game at 8, the -7 will always do better than the -8 every single time. If you're playing line moves, you're probably not going to do well because you don't know which games to move. If you play every single one, you'll go broke by just losing the juice, because you're going to be trying to play -7s that go to 8s, and you played it at -8, and then it goes down to 7.5. You're going to play a +7.5. You're going to have what they call a Polish middle, where you're going to middle yourself. So line moves is very difficult unless you really have the experience, good technology, and knowing about where that line started, where it is, where it ended, everything in between. So line move sounds easy, but I can tell you the most people that follow have no clue what they're doing, and they go broke.
Okay, so again, guys, stay tuned for the segment on line moves. Okay, and the final classification that we have is the player who follows an advisor. So tell us about that one.
Yes, that's the person that pays money, and he wants to get picks from that so-called advisor. Is a kind word. Most of these people, as we've discussed, are scam decappers. They're just trying to scam you. You might find someone out there that might be a true advisor like we are, but for the most part, you won't. And I think an advisor doesn't have to give you picks, but can also advise you on certain things that may help you choose your own game. So following an advisor, just getting their plays, again, check what game you're getting and where the line is closing. On the other hand, the advisor is someone like us. We can give you picks, but we also can advise you on what to play, where to play it at, where the line is moved, and things like that. So following an advisor can be beneficial if you're with the right people.
Yep, that's great advice there from an advisor, RoadRunner. And guys, that reminds me, if you haven't checked out our last segment, which is the World of Touts, please check that out as well. And for more information, coming soon is wagerfuel.com. We're bumping the launch date up to July 1st, hopefully preparing for the return of the 4 major sports. Looks like we may be getting close in some of these games, so we'll all keep a good thought out for that. And in the meantime, follow us at wagerfuel.com, and that's supposed to say wagerfuel@gmail.com, which is how to contact us. So sorry about that. Again, it's wagerfuel@gmail.com. So that's it for today, folks. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of RoadRunner and Ryan.